What is going on, everybody? Hope you're all having a good Wednesday. I unfortunately am not having the best one. I kind of got I had a lot of the right pieces last night, just couldn't get the right mix. It was a good start in the big ones and just didn't quite get there. Sheets, how was your night? And let me know what you think.
Yeah, so I want to talk about a couple of things.
Yeah.
First of all, I want to give a shout out to someone in the Discord channel who's been I guess a subscriber or whatever it is. He's been with us right from kind of the beginning.
Yeah.
I don't know his actual name or his screen name, whatever it is, but he goes by John Jenkins. I could look up his screen name actually, because he posts a million screenshots nowadays. And he's been following what we've been advising him to do and stuff like that, and he's been looking at my sheets, and he's going using SaberSims, using the different optimizers, and he decided that a couple of weeks ago he was going to try his hand at MMEing at low levels just to kind of test the process. And look, he's been very lucky, as anybody is that can do well in GPPs, but the kid's done nothing but not nothing, but he starts with looking at the true DFS projections, uses our advice on how to use SaberSim to help build the lineups, and he's been running with him. I think he's won like 5 GPPs in the last 2 weeks of like 1,000 and plus entries. And we're just happy that whatever advice we can give, people are kind of jumping on. And look, we're all learning, and I'm really happy for him. The other thing I wanted to kind of bring out is, even though I didn't do well in freaking DFS yesterday, I made money in the 20 maxers. I didn't make money in the big ones, that 2 cube. How about my freaking one against the spread?
Yeah, that was a great bet.
With the Rangers plus the money line against Houston last night. That was pretty strong, and they won 100-0 too.
I foolishly should have completely gone with you on this and not played as literally had like at least 1 or 2 Astros like in all my stacks. That's right. That was not the way to go, but that was amazing. That was a great call. I told you
that was pretty funny.
It was going to happen. Keep going. Sorry.
Yeah, it was exactly what I gave my reasoning. I gave, it was maybe we should get into sports betting. I don't think so, but I still will throw those things out there.
Yeah, no, that was pretty awesome, man. That was pretty wild. And yeah, I felt like if I could have just taken that piece of information and applied it to the rest of my lineups, I think I would have made a lot of money last night.
Yeah.
But anyway, all right, well, let's start with today. What do we got in terms of, do you have any overall thoughts, or you want to just jump right into?
Yeah, they took all the good pitchers and they put them in the early slate. But I think I am sharing my screen right now, and I think that the pitching is very. I have it all over the place. In other words, I have one guy who kind of stands out, but I have. He's not a guy that's particularly great, and I have maybe like 7 pitchers that I can use. I am pretty concentrated with my hitting. So we'll just see where we.
Well, there is one guy on the slate who's much better than everybody else, but I don't think you're thinking of the same guy.
Oh, good. All right, so we could.
Well, Urias is the best pitcher on the slate, and it's not even close.
I mean, the best pitcher is not.
Well,
that's not like the best pitcher. We want the best player, right?
Yeah. Fair enough. Okay, but the guys put up, sort of like the Bueller argument. Like, I don't really understand. It's more because people around the industry are just flat out wrong. Is the reason why they don't underappreciate these guys enough, because these guys put up 30s as much as anybody else does. Anyway, all right, let's talk about it. Let's get into the first game. I think you're going to see the chalkiest pitcher on the slate in this game, and that's Ranger Suarez.
Yep.
I am okay with it, I guess. I don't feel like I have a strong conviction, which I guess sort of leans into your point about how the pitching is on this slate. I personally wouldn't mind seeing some Cubs against him, but I probably will use some of them. I'm probably going to try and get below the field. I'm not sure I'm going to yet, but we'll hopefully figure it out in the show who we're going to use as our other pitchers, because I don't know. I don't feel like this is an automatic spot. The Cubs have been bad, it's true, but they've been bad more towards righties. And then on the other side of this, I think the lefties for Philly are in play against Mills, and then a bad bullpen behind him. But I don't think that I'm going to have the Phillies quite as high as maybe some other people would.
Yeah, I agree. I have Suarez rated as my top pitcher, but there's certainly you don't have to play Suarez. I mean, you know what I mean? Like there are options, and he's not by any means a lock. He's right now rated for me as the top point per dollar play, which is, take that for what it is. But he's certainly not a huge standout. He's certainly not a lot by any stretch of the imagination. I do have Philly rated as one of my top 4 stacks. I have 4 of them, kind of, I don't want to say close, but yeah, I guess 4 of them are in contention. I will say also just a little heads up as you get towards the end of the year. I just noticed this. If it's been going on for longer, you can let me know. But I do see that Real Muto is now both first base and catcher eligible. I don't know exactly how that impacts my play tonight, but it is something just kind of to note. I do like the Phillies as far as hitting goes, and I second what you said.
All right. Let's jump on to the next one then. But I think Philly is you want the lefties against Mills in general. I don't know how long Mills will pitch in the game. It's the only reason why I play the righties, but I do think the lefties are what you want.
And let's talk about this. Does Brad Miller get into this game then?
Yeah, probably.
So you get Brad Miller, you get like Didi, right?
Yeah, Miller, Didi,
Harper,
Herrera, who's expensive, who I even said on our live show yesterday I was trying to go out of my way to get him because he was 4,900, but he had a home run on the first pitch or something of the game.
Wow.
Even Galvis down at the bottom, if you're going to make a full 5-man, I think is fine, but maybe you could include a righty if you're making a 5-man stack. I just don't personally. I have the Phillies on my list, but they're not my favorite.
I agree with that.
All right, the next game, I actually think this might be where you want to get your SP2, and it's not going to be the guy who you think I'm going to say. Well, it might be the guy you think I'm going to say. It's not going to be the guy who most people will say. I think John Means is an excellent pitching option for tonight. I understand that he's a lefty, and these Yankees are so scary with their righties and all this stuff. He has not been incredible, but for 6,500, he's been pretty good. And we still know he's got decent strikeout stuff against a team that does strike out a lot. I think he's interesting here, and I think he's going to get low ownership on a pretty small slate. So I think that I'm looking a lot towards him at 6,500. Even if he gets me 15, I think it's actually doable on this kind of a slate, the way the nature of this is. And I think he's right there. I understand people who want to play Cortez. I don't love playing the lefties against Baltimore because they don't strike out much. He did strike out 7 5 2/3 last time he pitched against this team, for what it's worth. I think he'll be the more popular SP2 option. They're both on my list, but I think Means is a little bit higher for me than Cortez. Always makes me nervous, and obviously the Yankees bats, especially Judge and Stanton, stand out here, but even Gary Sanchez's price is down. The Yankees are going to be popular. I like the leveraging the field, and I like the idea that he's got strikeout upside and is actually a really good real life pitcher. So I want to take some shots on Means. That's where I stand on this game pretty much.
And you think you like the Yankees, although you think they're going to be popular.
I'm okay with them. I don't think they're must. I think Judge and Stanton individually are terrific plays, and I guess that I would include Sanchez in that. And you could always fill it out with one of the lefties on the Yankees too, to try and whether it's Gallo or Rizzo. Gallo hit one last night. I think that they're fine. I don't think that this is my favorite spot to attack. I mean, if I look at Means's last, since he's gotten back to getting back in the flow of actually starting regularly and everything, he's been pretty, solid. There's no explosive games against him. He's been, he had, I guess he had one against Tampa Bay that he gave up a couple home runs, but that was even before I was talking about Detroit. It's really his last 4 starts. He's looked like his old self a little bit more. And I don't think that stacking a chalky stack against a guy who I believe is a good pitcher is my best way to go. But if they end up for any reason lower owned than they're projected right now, I will take some shots. I just don't think I want to play the incredible chalk on this slate against a
Now, I'm not really getting to either of these guys, either Cortez or Means, but I will say that the Means play makes a lot more sense to me as far as GPPs go, for exactly the reason that you mentioned. Because the Yankees are showing up as a good stack, and they always will, and they always should. But like you said, I mean, he's 6,500, and you get good leverage with a guy who's flat, who's up and down, back and forth, but he still has a good game in him somewhere, right? And at 6,500 with leverage against the Yankees, I think that makes some sense. Now, again, if you stack the Yankees, you also get the wonderful Baltimore bullpen as a backup plan. But I agree with you. I think Means is and I didn't have him at first. Like I originally had one pitcher, I had Suarez, and then I had like one, two, like six other guys. I didn't even get to Means, but you're kind of convincing me to probably at least include him in the player pool.
Yeah, I think he's definitely there. I'll figure it out by the end of the show, hopefully, where it is. All right, let's move on to St. Louis. Maybe I will have to come back to them just because of the lack of other exciting stacks. Tyler McGill here tonight against St. Louis. I actually think this is a really good pitching option as well. I think McGill is going to be lower owned than Urias and Suarez, and I think that he's got it's a good matchup against St. Louis for righties, and I'm very interested in the Mets as a lower owned. I don't even think they'll be lower owned, to be honest with you. Just a lower projected. I'm not buying these projections. I honestly am not buying the run total or projections. I think I like the Mets. I think my two teams I'm going to have tonight are going to be stacking against pitchers that I've done successfully and unsuccessfully in the past. But you give me Lester against the Mets with this Baez, Alonso, and then include Lindor and Pilar combination. I think it's really, really solid. So I really do like the Mets. And before I didn't mention it before, but I like the Orioles bats a little bit as well, especially Austin Hayes.
Nice.
So I think the Mets are a place where I'm looking to be heavily exposed.
Yeah, so I like McGill a lot. I have him as one of my top options under Suarez, and I have him as my top option kind of by a lot on FanDuel. So I'm kind of in there, and yeah, the Mets I'm not getting them, and I don't exactly know why. Like you said, I mean, I kind of want to go after Lester as well. Now, who are the base? Do we still play base stealers against Lester? Is that still a thing? Or
yep.
Okay.
And that would be. I mean, we just saw two the other day. Baez.
Okay.
And Lester is not quite the embarrassingly bad as he was, but he still isn't good.
He's still embarrassing enough.
Well, I mean, he's pitching on a team with the best catcher in baseball in terms of not letting guys run on him. So in like the history, one of the best in history of baseball. Right. That's he's got that going for him. But I still think you want to, these guys definitely will, especially Baez. He doesn't care about any of that stuff. He'll just go. And you can include Conforto in your stack in the lefty-lefty matchup. I think that this is a really good stack.
Okay, ready to roll?
Yep. Next one. Noah and Senzatella. I feel like Senzatella pitches every day.
He does, right?
It does. I don't usually like to attack Senzatella. I think Noah is completely in play against Colorado here. You have an extreme hitters umpire in this game. I think I might, because of the nature of the slate, take some shots with Atlanta. I only because of the low ownership am I really drawn to it. Senzatella just keeps the ball on the ground, doesn't give up many home runs, doesn't get hit very hard. But these guys this is a powerful offense. It's going to be low owned in a great hitting environment against still a pitcher who we don't consider like an elite pitcher. I just think that they're interesting for that reason. I'm just trying to get away from the Yankees. I think it's going to be Yankees, Phillies, Houston, White Sox chalk, and maybe looking at Atlanta, St. Louis, and the Dodgers as my pivots.
Yeah, you came up with the teams I'm probably going to want to play.
It's okay though. There's nothing wrong with that.
There's one other in FanDuel that I'll throw in there also in a minute. But yeah, I like Noah. I mean, I think he's in play. I think everybody's always in play against Colorado. All pitchers are kind of in play against Colorado. Again, I'm just trying to have just a kind of a spread out bunch of pitchers, and it just happens to be one of them. He's never completely reliable, but and I think 8,900 people are going to stay off him because it's probably a terrible price. But
well, on this slate, everything's relative, right? Like on this slate, it's a different thing.
Yeah. Well, I'd almost rather play Means. Well, certainly a much trickier matchup for Means than for a Noah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have a Noah in my player pool, and I will definitely reconsider Atlanta. They didn't make my top list, but like I said, I mean it means that they're not going to make a lot of people's top lists, which means they're going to be low owned, which means that maybe they should make some of my lists. So I will definitely give that another look.
Well, it's one of those funny things. All year I've been preaching about how like people are mistakenly, especially on the this guy is a good pitcher, and everybody tries to stack against him every time. Or he's a solid pitcher. He keeps the ball on the ground. He doesn't get hit very hard. And everybody talks about stacking him since his head. Well, he's been lucky with his BABIP, and he's not striking out that many guys. And he's doing it. Well, that's his game. He's going to pitch and keep the ball on the ground.
Right.
So it's not a coincidence that he's given up a total of 5 home runs and 15 starts. That's not the kind of pitcher you want to pick on. But at the same time, when you put a good offense in there against him, like this Atlanta offense, I do think that there is some serious upside. And that we're pivoting. We're trying to stay ahead of the curve. We were ahead of the curve on Senzatella's pretty good. And now let's get ahead of the curve on, well, he's not so great. We can't play guys against him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's the way I was sort of looking at it. All right. You want to talk about Houston and Texas? I'll let you start this one off.
Yeah. I actually have Cleveland and Minnesota next.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah. We'll jump to that one if you want to.
Yeah. So I don't have either of the pitchers in this game.
Cleveland, Minnesota?
Yeah. But I did get to both of them in my FanDuel hitting. Didn't quite get to either of them as my main ideas with DraftKings, but on FanDuel, I did get to both hitting environments as far as possible stacks go. So that's where I would kind of leave that. Definitely some Minnesota and some Cleveland on the hitting side of this game.
Yeah, I think that, I've said it a bunch of times before. It's kind of weird because these teams just played each other and they had like a run total in the same matchup. Their run total was like a full run and a half higher. Like,
wow.
Jax, this is the first time I've seen him with a projected run total under 5 against him. And he did pitch 6 innings his last outing for what it's worth. I'm on record as this guy is going to be good sometime. In the meantime, he's going to give up a ton of home runs. So I can definitely get behind it. And I think Jax is on my pitching list, sure, towards the end of it. Look, I'm the guy who played Kohar yesterday, though. So I think that at 5.7, like you're talking, these guys, first of all, have the same K prop, which is kind of interesting. Another extreme hitters umpire in the game. I definitely can get behind the Cleveland side of the bats for sure. But I don't think that I'm going to just ignore, Jax if I'm playing, like maybe he's my 6th starting pitcher or 7th, but I'm going to consider those guys on a day where I don't feel great about starting pitching and maybe even bump them up just because if we get, again, if you get 15 out of him, you could play a Jackson Means lineup where if you can get a combined 30 and then do whatever you want with the bats, it's just it gets you different. And I think it's kind of interesting. Now it's not the ideal, it's not the number one, but it's an option. And I at the same time, I think Cleveland is completely going to get overlooked partially because the run total, maybe it'll change as the day goes on, but I do like Cleveland against Jax, even though I mentioned he will be in my pit player pool. All right. You want to talk about Texas and Houston?
Yep. So I do have, I thought I did. No, I don't. I have Urquidy. I do not have Urquidy as an option at 10K. I don't have Arihara as an option at 2,000. I do have Houston as again. I have them as a top option on both DraftKings and FanDuel. They're going to be competing for projections with the aforementioned Phillies, Yankees, and White Sox. They're going to be competing for ownership with the aforementioned Phillies, Yankees, and I presume White Sox. So they certainly are going to be in play. I am not, fading them again. I thought yesterday was a good time to do that, coming off the 14-run game. But, coming up the shutout, even all the better. Let's just go play them. So, yeah, I do think all the Houston guys are in play. And, again, it's like a broken record. But, just because a team's chalky doesn't mean you can't play them. You can finagle around with the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can play 1, 2, 6, 7, 8. You can do all kinds of stuff. And you could there's certainly plenty of non-chalk pitchers that you can screw around with to end up playing the chalky hitters. So I do like Houston. It's kind of silly to say I don't. So that's kind of where I'm at. And I don't like anything from Texas.
Yeah. I would, I like Houston. I don't want to be with the field on everything. So I'm going to probably look to get less of them. And maybe more of some of the other teams I talked about, like the Clevelands, Atlantas, Mets. Bregman's price stands out though anyway. McCormick, Siri are both completely in play for me for value. They're just too cheap with too much upside. And I get it. I just don't think I'm definitely going to try and get a little bit off the field because I do feel like this is it's weird because it is a small slate, but there are a lot of hitting options, partially because of the lack of pitching. Urquidy is a high upside tournament play. I don't think he's going to be high on the list for me at all, but he won't be for anybody else either. And since he's come back, we haven't seen him really with a leash at all. So that's why I'm probably going to end up staying off of him. But Texas is so bad that he could roll through 6 innings in no time. So yeah, that's where I'm at with this game. I don't think I'm going to end up with more than 10% of them, but I just wanted to throw his name out. All right, now you've got another weird one. Dallas Keuchel is 5.8K. I don't know if any pitcher should be allowed to be 5.8K against the Angels. Maybe Keuchel is the one. Keuchel, as we know, even when he was a good pitcher, was not a good fantasy pitcher. He's 5,800. I would play Griffin Jacks over him. But the main interest is going to be the White Sox in this game against Jansen Junk, which doesn't exactly inspire Angels fans. So yeah, I'm high on the White Sox. Again, another mispriced team. I think I'd prefer them against some of the other teams, but the one thing about stacking the White Sox is the 5-man, always a little bit scarier just because they don't walk that much and you want to kind of keep the offense moving around. But I'm nitpicking only because they're going to be popular. I don't mind the bats on the other side of this game either. If you want to get some exposure to some off the board plays, not like stacking them, but like Joe Adell's going to be batting in the middle of the lineup at 3.2. Obviously Ohtani. I guess those are really the main two. Maybe Goslin you could include at 2.8 because he's so cheap. But mostly it's going to be the White Sox for me here, and I do have them a little bit of a higher priority, even though I don't generally love stacking them as much. And it's partly because I think you can get lower owned plays here. Should we just play Sheets every day at this point? I stacked the White Sox every which way yesterday and somehow left him out of my stacks. What an idiot I am, you know?
He's a full 2,900.
It's crazy. We need to start playing this kid. He's just got monster power. Anyway, that's where I'm at on this game.
Yeah, so I think it's going to be kind of a fun battle to see how low Keuchel can keep the ball to Ohtani and how Ohtani can try to just literally pick it 1 inch off the ground and put it out of the ballpark. I think Ohtani's going to win that battle, by the way. I don't know what odds you get on a single guy to hit a home run nowadays, but I think I just think he's going to hit one. But remember, with these prices nowadays, like if you hit a home run with Ohtani, that's probably might not even be enough. Anyway, I agree with you. I like the White Sox a lot here. Abreu at 4,200 is pretty insulting. Sheets 2,900 is it's a great price. You know, all the White Sox, and I think that what are they getting on Tim Anderson? Tim Anderson's back now. 5K Luis Garcia. I mean, the Roy Garcia, if he gets in, I mean, all these guys are really cheap. They're all going to be really popular.
No, they won't all be really popular. Everybody at the bottom of the order will not be popular.
Right. I guess not.
And that's what I would do if I was stacking them. I'd include at least 2 of those guys.
Okay, that makes sense.
So that's what I would do.
So yeah, so I think that they're definitely one of the top 4 stacks, and yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I agree totally, and they are the one of the chalky stacks that I'm the most in agreement on.
Hey, by the way, I like your call on Joe Adell. By the way, I think that he could be a kind of a fun one-off in there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that that's a solid one for sure. With that price, you get he and Austin Hayes in your outfield. I think are kind of interesting. Use the whatever chalky infield stack, whether the White Sox or Astros, and you're already at least a little bit different. San Francisco and San Diego here. I think I get the idea of using Musgrove. San Francisco just makes me nervous, man. But maybe they'll make enough people nervous to where we're not just playing the second best pitcher on the slate at 9,500. I don't know. Where do you stand with these pitchers? Because I'm not doing anything with the hitting in this game.
Okay, I had Oakland, Kansas City next, but that's fine.
I keep messing it around. I'm so sorry.
Okay. That's okay because we'll spend maybe a little more time on that. I got Musgrove in play. I have him as one of those pitchers that I want to choose from. And everything that you said is correct. San Francisco is a very, very tough out. And yet Musgrove is he's a good pitcher. That's why he might not be quite as high owned because he doesn't have such a great matchup. And I would take a shot with him. So I do like that. I did not quite get to San Diego. I did not quite get to the hitting in this game. And Yeah, Musgrove's in the player pool. I mean, again, I wish it could be a little more exciting, but that's all I got.
Yeah, I'm sort of with you on that. I think it's just one of those games you sort of just look at like that. All right, so let's talk about the Oakland KC game then, because you do have some. I mean, we talked about other cheap options. Well, here's a real guy who actually, well, he's a real guy who doesn't always pitch like a real guy. He always has, feel like he's always like an inning away from that really good start. You know what I mean? He'll be clean through 5 and then gets it. And that's Mike Minor, of course. And then we've got Manaea on the other side. Now, if no one is going to play Manaea, this guy, everybody says, oh yeah, he struggled. He struggled for a few starts, and he's been the best pitcher. He looked like the best pitcher in baseball his last 2 starts, and probably the toughest matchups in baseball for his, particular, him being left-handed against the White Sox and at the Blue Jays. Why aren't we just playing Manaea? And I'll take the over on this K prop. If this is really real, 4.5 for him here, give me a break. I don't love to take lefties against KC, but I actually think Manaea, with all the pitchers we talked about, you want upside, this guy offers the upside. Everybody was too afraid to play him against the White Sox in Toronto, and he was absolutely unbelievable in those games. He struck out 9 in each of the games. I don't even know where this 4.5 K number comes from. Like, they're counting on him being roughed up.
That can't be right? I mean,
it's just crazy. I mean, if that's what they project for him, I mean, that's the easiest bet you're going to get. It might not come through like 1 out of 20 times, but it's going to come through almost every time.
Do I have to freaking pull up the Monkey Knife Fight and see what's going on over there?
Well, we'll do that here. Let's do that another time.
Okay.
But Minor and Manoah, these are 2 pitchers I'm looking at the same time. I don't think there's anything wrong with looking for Oakland bats.
Minor and Manoah. Minor and Manaea.
Manaea, excuse me.
Manaea, Manoah, Minor, tomato.
Man, if they were all 3 playing, we could just make it an exclusively Manaea or Manoah.
Play all 3 of them with both Bogdanoviches, and you're in business.
It's funny because it would be nice to play some guys. We've seen some Minor give up some power and stuff, but the truth is, it's not like there's an individual bat that stands out outside of Starling Marte, who's really expensive. But I do think he's a great play. I just think that I don't think I'm going to end up getting to either of these stacks at all.
Yep.
All right.
But by the way, let me emphasize, by the way, that I do think that both of these pitchers are completely in play. I mean, you want to consider Minor a pivot off of Suarez, or however you want to categorize it. I think he's a really, really strong play. I think that, that Olsen is always good for 4 strikeouts. You know what I mean? And I think Minor's been like, he's also good for 3 home runs. But Minor's he got a bad luck loss his last, I don't know, his last start, the one before, he left with like a 4-0 lead. And then I think they lost like 11-8 or something like that.
Yep.
It's like nuts. But yeah, Manaea, I continue to go on my streak of never getting the Oakland pitchers right. I mean, I had Montas last night. He got crushed. I faded Manaea last time he pitched, and he cost me a GPP. So yeah, we can continue for whatever I do the opposite with the Manaea, but he's definitely in my player pool.
Yep, absolutely. And in case you guys were wondering, if I said, there's all these stacks that are in play today. We're getting to the Dodgers in Arizona now, and I will take the over in this game, just based on the fact that I think the Dodgers will hit the over. They felt like they almost like struggled because it wasn't my guys, I guess, who got there for it last night. But between Merrill Kelly and the bullpen, I am just going to load up on the Dodgers. They are my number 1 stack by a not very particularly close margin. I don't understand the early projections having them as low as they do. Everybody wants to play these other teams, and they also might release their lineup late, which always gives you a little bit of extra. People just don't want to play them. I'm a huge fan of the Dodgers tonight. I think Seager's the best play on the slate for position and everything. I felt like making a cash game lineup today would be really, really easy. But Seager is an awesome play. And I think that you fill it out with Turner, who had a big night last night. Obviously, you want to use the lefties against Kelly too. So you've got Muncy, who I would love. Bellinger, who for some reason forgot how to hit this season. I don't even mind including him. Doesn't feel like he's the priority, but Will Smith, Mookie Betts. I like everybody in this lineup. I'll stack them up every which way possible. I'll play Gavin Lux at 2.6K at low ownership. I'm very, very into the Dodgers today, and I also have Urias as the number one pitcher on the slate. You do have an extreme hitters umpire. Maybe you could argue that against Urias. It's Arizona that has been actually decent against left-handed pitching compared to right-handed pitching. But I think Urias has just been shown consistently enough. Like, look, if we just want to get 45 out of our pitchers today, he's the guy who will probably get you the 25 the most often. Does that mean you have to play him at chalk? No, there's other guys we mentioned, but I do think Urias does stand out to be the best, safe, quote unquote, safe play today, with maybe a limited upside compared to some of the other guys on a point per dollar basis. But I love the Dodgers stack, and I will be loading that up in every format.
I'm going to give that another look because it didn't pop for me at first glance, but how could they not? With, like you said, with Merrill Kelly.
That's what's so beautiful. Is the prices keep people off of them.
Oh, that's. And you think you'll be able to get in like Urias with Dodgers?
I think you can get in. Yeah, you could do it totally. I mean, when you play Gavin Lux, he's 2.6, and then we just talked about all the other mispricings in the game. You know, guys like Hayes, Adele, Mill. You know, you can. And the Dodgers are a team you can stack infield or out. You know, you don't need to just stack the infield. Really like Will Smith as the spend up at catcher too, but I mean, Seager's too cheap. So Seager and Lux, you started off with that. You might have to play Lux in the outfield spot, and that's already going to be an unusual pairing anyway, because people are going to play Lux as the value at shortstop. But there's a lot of ways you can do it, and there's a lot of other places you could go down to. But I really do like the Dodgers today, and I think that people won't be on them nearly as highly as they should. Usually when they play against Kelly, I feel like they get loaded up on, and this time is not going to be the case. And you know, the Dodgers the last nights they've scored a bunch of runs off of this bullpen. This is the worst bullpen in the major leagues against the best team in the major leagues. So I really think this is a great spot to take the Dodgers.
All right, I will give that another look.
All right.
Okay, so you want to just kind of recap here?
Yeah, so for my main pitchers, the guys who I'm using, and I'm trying to decide the order of which I've got them. I have Urias, McGill, Manaea, Means, and Noah as my preferred plays. I'm going to get into some of the weird, cheaper guys. I actually don't, I'm going to play a little bit of Suarez, but I can promise I'll be below the field on him. My stacks are Dodgers #1. I think the Mets #2. I'm factoring in ownership and everything. I'm not saying these are teams that are going to score the most runs. This is factoring in ownership. Dodgers, Mets, White Sox, then probably Houston. And then there's a whole mess of Atlanta, Cleveland, Phillies, and Orioles. But I think that the main ones are the Dodgers, Mets, White Sox, and Houston for me. With the Dodgers, Mets, and White Sox being a little bit ahead. I think that in terms of some one-offs, Alonso, Baez, Lindor, I mentioned them, that's a stack on itself, but I like all three of those guys a ton tonight. Bregman, Abreu, these are the obvious cash ones, Seager. And then I'm going to have to play Sheets if I'm going to play my White Sox stack, because he always burns me if I don't, and he always gets me there when I do. So, and then, you know, even if I'm not playing the Yankees, Judge, Stanton, one-offs definitely make sense to me. Patrick Wisdom is another one we didn't talk about, but this kid just hits home runs all the time and he's got crazy power, so I don't mind him either. That's what, and then Adele, Miller, and Hayes for value.
Yeah, I'm right now. If I really had to say what I was going to do, so DraftKings, I'm either going to go Houston, Philly, Yankees, and White Sox, but with pitching, I'm probably just going to take the 1, 2. I have 1, 2, 3. I have Suarez, Arias, McGill, Musgrove, Ynoa, Minor, and Manaea. I'll probably just take the 2 lowest of them, and that's probably what I'll end up doing. But we'll see. I got to see how ownership shakes out. I got to see the lineups and things like that. But that's my initial look, is that pitching is a spread and hitting is a little less so. But I will, and I'm definitely give the Dodgers a second look as well.
Love it. All right. Where is my Zoom channel so I can get to this? Make sure I'm on the right. This is so weird. My computer is kind of wigging out a little bit. All right, Sheets, anything else for everybody before we get out of here?
I'm good.
All right. Well, I don't know what happened to my actual Zoom screen here, so I'm not going to be able to, oh, there we go. I'm going to be able to stop the video. This is what happens when you're, I actually have a monitor on the way, but it hasn't come in through yet. Anyway, good luck to everybody tonight, guys. We will see you guys soon with an NFL video.